Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching our latest online endeavor. It's a wonderful cast and a wonderful director and a very nice adaptation of Oliver Goldsmith's She Stoops to Conquer. And I think we've got a bunch of wonderful audience members joining us today as well. So it's been a year since we've been closed, and it's about 6 months since we started doing online programming. And maybe we're finally getting the hang of it. I hope so. Again, thanks for being here. And if you are willing and able to donate to the Lakewood Playhouse to help us continue to get through this, we're hoping to do a in-person summer education program, and we are hoping to do full production in the fall, and we have to make it to that point. So all donations are appreciated. You can go to our website, lakewoodplayhouse.org, and donate there. And I should also mention that we have another show. Tonight's show is a reading, one performance. Next month on April 16, 17, and 18, we're going to do a more full production, kind of along the lines we did with what we did with Christmas Carol in December, of a show by Carolyn and Simpson called The Asymmetrical Embrace, directed by one of our cast members tonight, Nicole Lockett. It's a lovely little show about the woman, Theo Van Gogh's wife, who helped make Vincent the well-known painter that he is. So we hope you will join us for that as well. Tickets are by donation, $5 minimum, and you can get information about that again at our website, lakewoodplayhouse.org. Again, thanks for being here. This is a great little show. I've been having a lot of fun watching. I know you will too. And so now I'll turn it over to the director, Ben Stahl.
Hello, you lovely audience members here tonight. Just as James said, this is a reading. You're not going to get all the pomp and pageantry that you got with the Christmas Carol. It's just going to be a bunch of wonderful actors in their homes, dressed up however the heck they wanted to, because this tonight is about the script and the actors. That's what I wanted to emphasize for this. So thank you all for being here tonight. And without further ado, She Stoops to Conquer by Oliver Goldsmith. Act the first, a chamber in an old-fashioned house.
I vow, Mr. Hardcastle, you're very particular. Is there a creature in the whole country but ourselves that does not take a trip to town now and then to rub off the rust a little? There's the two Mrs. Hogues and our neighbor Mrs. Grigsby go to take a month's polishing every winter.
Aye, and bring back vanity and affectation to last them the whole year. I wonder why London cannot keep its own fools at home. In my time, the follies of town crept slowly among us, but now they travel faster than a stagecoach. Its fopperies come down not only as inside passengers, but in the very basket.
Aye, your times were fine times indeed. You have been telling us of them for many a long year. Here we live in an old rumbling mansion that looks for all the world like an inn, but that we never see company. Our best visitors are old Mrs. Oddfish, the curate's wife, and little Cripplegate, the lame dancing master. And all our entertainment, your old stories of Prince Eugene and the Duke of Marlborough. I hate such old-fashioned trumpery.
And I love it. I love everything that's old. Old friends, old times, old manners, old books, old wine, and I believe, Dorothy, your own, I have been pretty fond of an old wife.
Lord, Mr. Hardcastle, you're forever at your Dorothys and your old wives. You may be a Darby, but I'll be an old Joan, I promise you. I'm not so old as you'd make me by more than one good year. Add 20 to 20 and make money of that.
Huh. Well, let's see. 20 add 20 makes just 50 and 7.
Of course, Mr. Hardcastle. I was but 20 when I was brought to bed of Tony that I had by Mr. Lumpkin, my first husband. And he's not come to years of discretion yet.
Nor ever will. I will dare answer for him. You have taught him fine.
No matter. Tony Lumpkin has a good fortune. My son is not to live by his learning. I don't think a boy wants much learning to spend $1,500 a year.
Learning, quotha, a mere composition of tricks and mischief.
Humor, my dear, nothing but humor. Come, Mr. Hardcastle, you must allow the boy a little humor.
I'd sooner allow him a horse pond. If burning the footman's shoes, frightening the maids, and worrying the kids be humor, well, then he has it. It was just yesterday that he fastened my wig to the back of my chair, and when I made a bow, out popped my bald head to Mrs. Frizzle's face.
And am I to blame? The poor boy was always too sickly to do any good. A school would be his death. When he comes to be a little stronger, who knows what a year or two's Latin may do for him?
Latin for him, a cat and a fiddle. No, the alehouse and the stable are the only schools he'll ever go to.
Well, we must not snub the poor boy now, for I believe we shan't have him long among us. Anybody that looks in his face may see he's consumptive.
Aye, if growing is too fat be one of the symptoms.
He coughs sometimes.
Yes, when liquor goes the wrong way.
I'm actually afraid of his lungs.
And truly so am I, for he sometimes whoops like a speaking trumpet.
Hello!
There he goes, a very consumptive figure, truly.
Tony, where are you going, my charmer? Won't you give Papa and I a little of your company, lovey?
I'm in haste, Mother. I cannot stay.
You shan't venture out this raw evening, my dear. You look most shockingly.
I can't stay, I tell you. The 3 pigeons expect me down every moment. There's some fun going forward.
Aye, the alehouse, the old place. I thought so.
A low, paltry set of fellows.
I'm not so low neither. There's Dick Muggins, the exciseman, Jack Slang, the horse doctor, little Aminadab that grinds the music box, and Tom Twist that spins the pewter platter.
Pray, my dear, disappoint them for one night at least.
As for disappointing them, I should not so much mind. But I can't abide to disappoint myself.
You shan't go.
I will, I tell you.
I say you shan't.
We'll see which is strongest, you or I.
There goes a pair that only spoil each other. But is not the whole age of combination to drive sense and discretion out of doors? Oh, there's my pretty darling Kate. The fashions of the times have almost infected her too. By living a year or two in town, she is fond of gauze and French frippery as the best of them. Blessings on my pretty innocence. Dressed as usual, my Kate? Goodness, what a quantity of superfluous silk hast thou got around thee, girl? I could never teach the fools of this age that the indigent world could be clothed out the trimmings of the vain.
You know our agreement, sir. You allow me the morning to receive and pay visits and to dress in my own manner, and in the evening I put on my housewife's dress to please you.
Well, remember, I insist on these terms of our agreement, and by the by, I believe I shall have occasion to try your obedience this very evening.
I protest, sir. I don't comprehend your meaning.
Then to be plain with you, Kate, I expect the young gentleman I have chosen to be your husband from town this very day. I have his father's letter here in which he informs me that his son has set out and that he intends to follow himself shortly thereafter.
Oh, indeed. I wish I had known something of this before. Bless me, how shall I behave? It's 1,000 to 1 I shan't like him. Our meeting will be so formal and so like a thing of business that I shall find no room for friendship or esteem.
Depend upon it, child. I'll never control your choice, but Mr. Marlowe, whom I pitched upon, is the son of my old friend, Sir Charles Marlowe, of whom you've heard me talk so often. The young gentleman has been bred a scholar and is designed for employment in the service of the country. I am told that he is a man of excellent understanding.
Oh, is he?
Oh, and very generous.
I believe I shall like him.
Young and brave.
Oh, I'm sure I shall like him.
Very handsome.
My dear papa, say no more. He's mine. I'll have him.
And to crown all, Kate, he is one of the most bashful and reserved young fellows in all the world.
Oh, you've frozen me to death again. That word, reserved, has undone all the rest of his accomplishments. A reserved lover, it is said, always makes a suspicious husband.
On the contrary, modest seldom resides in the breast that is not enriched with nobler values. It was the very feature in his character that first struck me.
You must have more striking features to catch me, I promise you. However, if he be so young, so handsome, and so everything as you mention, I believe he'll do still. I think I'll have him.
Aye, Kate, but there still is an obstacle. It's more than an even wager that he may not have you.
Oh, why will you mortify one so? Well, if he refuses, instead of breaking my heart at his indifference, I'll only break my glass for its flattery, set my cap to some newer fashion, and look out for some less difficult admirer.
Bravely resolved. In the meantime, I'll go prepare the servants for his reception. As we seldom see company, they want as much training as a company of recruits on the first day's muster. Ta-ta.
Rod, this news of papa's puts me all in a flutter. Young, handsome, these you put last, but I put them foremost. Sensible, good-natured, I like all that. But then reserved and sheepish, that's much against him. Yet, can't he be cured of his timidity by being taught to be proud of his wife? Yes, and can't I... But I vow I'm disposing of the husband before I've secured the lover. I'm glad you're come, Neville, my dear. Tell me, Constance, how do I look this evening? Is there anything whimsical about me? Is it one of my well-looking days, friend? Am I in face today?
Perfectly, my dear. Yet, now I look again. Bless me. Sure no accident has happened among the canary birds or the goldfishes? Has your brother or the cat been meddling, or has the last novel been too moving?
No, nothing of all this. I have been threatened. I can scarce get it out. I have been threatened with a lover.
And his name?
Is Marlowe.
Indeed.
The son of Sir Charles Marlowe.
As I live, the most intimate friend of Mr. Hastings, my admirer. They are never asunder. I believe you must have seen him when we lived in town.
Never.
He's a very singular character, I assure you. Among women of reputation and virtue, he is the modestest man alive. But his acquaintance give him a very different character among creatures of another stamp. You understand me?
An odd character indeed. Shall never be able to manage him. What shall I do? Oh, pshaw, think no more of him, but trust to occurrences for success. But how goes on your own affair, my dear? Has my mother been courting you for my brother Tony, as usual?
I have just come from one of our agreeable tete-a-tetes. She has been saying 100 tender things and setting off her pretty monster as the very pink of perfection.
And her partiality is such that she actually thinks him so. A fortune like yours is no small temptation. Besides, as she has the sole management of it, I'm not surprised to see her unwilling to let it go out of the family.
A fortune like mine, which chiefly consists in jewels, is no such mighty temptation. But at any rate, if my dear Hastings be but constant, I make no doubt to be too hard for her. At last, and however, I let her suppose that I am in love with her son, and she never once dreams that my affections are fixed upon another.
Stoutly, I could almost love him for hating you so.
He's a good-natured creature at bottom, and I'm sure would wish to see me married to anybody but himself. My aunt's bell rings, but for our afternoon's walk round the improvements, I long courage is necessary, as our affairs are critical.
Would it were bedtime and all were well.
And now let us follow Tony Lumpkin down to the Three Pigeons. Hurrah! Huzzah!
Silence, gentlemen. Silence for a song. The squire's gonna knock himself down for a song.
Hey, a song!
A song!
Then I'll sing you, gentlemen, a song I made upon this alehouse, the Three Pigeons. Let schoolmasters puzzle their brain with grammar and nonsense and learning. Good liquor, I stoutly maintain, gives Janus a better discerning. Let them brag of their heathenish gods, their leads, their Styxes and Stygians, their quiz and their quos and their quads. They're all but a parcel of pigeons, to roll. When Methodist preachers come down, a-preaching that drinking is sinful, I'll wait to the rascals a crown. They always preach best of the skinful. But when you come down with your pence for a slice of their scurvy religion, I'll leave it to all men of sense. But you, my good friend, are the pigeon. To roll. Then come put the jorum about, and let us be merry and clever. Our hearts and our liquors are stout. Here's the Three Jolly Pigeons forever. Let some cry up woodcock or hare, your bustards, your ducks, and your widgeons. But of all the gay birds in the air, here's a health to the Three Jolly Pigeons. To roll.
Bravo!
Oh, that squire's got spunk in him.
I loves to hear him sing because he never gives us nothing that's low.
Oh, damn. Anything that's low, I cannot bear it.
The genteel thing is the genteel thing at any time. If so be that a gentleman bees and concatenation accordingly.
I likes the maxim of it, Master Muggins. What, though I am obligated to dance a bear, a man may be a gentleman for all that. May this be my poison if my bear ever dances but to the very genteelest of tunes. Water parted or the minuet of Ariadne.
Oh, what a pity it is the squire is not come to his own. It would be well for all the publicans within 10 miles round of him.
Of course, and so it would, Master Slang. I'd then share what it was to keep choice of company.
Oh, he takes after his own father for that. To be sure, old Squire Lumpkin was the finest gentleman I ever set my eyes on. For winding the straight horn or beating a thicket for a hare or a wench, he never had his fellow. It was a saying in the place that he kept the best horses, dogs, and girls in the whole county.
It could, and when I'm of age, I'll be no bastard, I promised you. I have been thinking of Bet Bouncer and the Miller's Grey Mare to begin with. But come, my boys, drink about and be merry, for you pay no reckoning. Well, Stingo, what's the matter?
There be two gentlemen in a post-chaise at the door. They've lost their way upon the forest, and they're talking something about Mr. Oddcastle.
As sure as can be, one of them must be the gentleman that's coming down to court my sister. Do they seem to be Londoners?
I believe they may. They look woundedly like Frenchmen.
Then desire them to step this way, and I'll set them right in a twinkling. Gentlemen, as they may be good enough company for you, step down for a moment, and I'll be with you in the squeezing of a lemon. Father-in-law has been calling you whelp and hound this half year. Now, if pleased, I could be so revenged upon the old Grumbletonian. But then I'm afraid. Afraid of what? I shall soon be worth 1,500 a year, and let him frighten me out of that if he can.
What a tedious, uncomfortable day we've had of it. We were told it was but 40 miles across the country, and we have come above 80.
And all, Marlowe, from that unaccountable reserve of yours that would not let us inquire more infrequently upon the way.
I own Hastings. I am unwilling to lay myself under an obligation to everyone I meet, and often stand the chance of an unmannerly answer.
At present, however, we are not likely to receive any answer.
No offense, gentlemen, but I'm told you've been inquiring for one Mr. Hardcastle in these parts. Do you know what part of the country you're in?
Not in the least, sir, but should thank you for information.
Nor the way you came?
No, sir, but if you can inform us.
Why, gentlemen, if you know neither the road you are going, nor where you are, nor the road you came, the first thing I have to inform you is that you have lost your way.
We wanted no ghost to tell us that.
Pray, gentlemen, may I be so bold as to ask the place from whence you came?
That's not necessary towards directing us where we are to go.
No offense, but question for question is all fair, you know. Pray, gentlemen, is not this same Hardcastle a cross-grained, old-fashioned, whimsical fellow with an ugly face, a daughter, and a pretty son?
We have not seen the gentleman, but he has the family you mentioned.
The daughter, a tall, traipsing, trolloping, talkative maypole, but the son, a pretty, well-bred, agreeable youth that everybody is fond of.
Our information differs in this. The daughter is said to be well-bred and beautiful. The son, an awkward booby, reared up and spoiled as his mother's apron string.
Then, gentlemen, all I have to tell you is that you won't reach Mr. Hardcastle's house this night, I believe.
Unfortunate.
Oh, it's a damned long, dark, boggy, dirty, dangerous way. Stingo, tell the gentleman the way to Mr. Hardcastle's. Mr. Hardcastle's of Quagmire Marsh, you understand me?
Master Hardcastle's, lackadaisy, my masters. You've come a deadly deal wrong. When you come to the bottom of the hill, you should have crossed down Squash Lane.
Crossed down Squash Lane?
Then you were to keep straight forward until you came to Four Roads.
Come to where Four Roads meet.
But you must be sure to take only one of them.
Oh, sir, you're facetious.
Then, keeping to the right, you're to go sideways till you come upon Crackskull Common. There you must look sharp for the track of the wheel and go forward till you come to Farmer Moraine's barn. Coming to the farmer's barn, you're to turn to the right, and then to the left, and then to the right about again till you find out the old mill.
Zounds, man. We could as soon find out the longitude.
What's to be done, Bob?
This house promises but a poor reception. Though perhaps the landlord can accommodate us.
Alack, master, we have but one spare bed in the whole house.
My knowledge, that's taken up by 3 lodgers already. I've hit it. Don't you think, Stingo, our landlady could accommodate the gentleman by the fireside with 3 chairs and a bolster?
I hate sleeping by the fireside.
And I detest your 3 chairs and a bolster.
You do you? Well, then let me see. What if you go on a mile further to the Buck's Head, the old Buck's Head on the hill, one of the best inns in the whole county?
Oh, so we have escaped an adventure for this night, however.
Sure, you being sending them to your fathers as an inn, be you?
You fool, you. Let them find that out. You have only to keep on straight forward till you come to a large old house by the roadside. You'll see a pair of large horns over the door. That's the sign. Drive up the yard and call stoutly about you.
Sir, we are obliged to you. The servants can't miss the way.
No, but I tell you, though, the landlord is rich and going to leave off business. So he wants to be thought a gentleman, saving your presence. He'll be for giving you his company, and if you mind him, he'll persuade you that his mother was an alderman and his aunt a justice of peace.
A troublesome old lady, to be sure, but he keeps as good wines and beds as any in the whole country.
Well, if he supplies us with these, we shan't want no further connection. We have to turn right, did you say?
No, straight forward. I'll just step myself and show you a piece of the way.
Oh, bless your heart. For a sweet, pleasant, damn mischievous son of a whore.
Act the second. Returning now to the Hardcastle house.
Well, I hope you are perfect in the table exercise I have been teaching you these 3 days. You two know your post and your place and can show that you have been used to good company without ever stirring from home.
Oi.
Now, when company comes, you are not to pop out and stare and then run in again like frightened rabbits in a war.
No.
And you, Diggory, whom I've taken out of the barn, are to make a show at the side table. And you, Roger, whom I advanced from the plow, you are to set your place behind my chair. But you are not to stand so with your hands in your pockets. Take your hands from your pockets, Roger, and from your head, you blockhead. Now see how Diggory carries his hands? They're a little too stiff indeed, but that is of no great matter.
Oi, mind how I hold 'em. I learned how to hold my hands like this when I was upon drill for the militia. And so being upon drill,
Now, you must not be so talkative, Diggory. You must be all attention to our guests. You must hear us talk and not think of talking. You must see us drink and not think of drinking. You must see us eat and not think of eating.
By the laws, your worship, that's perfectly impossible. Whenever Diggory sees you eating going forward, he's always wishing for a mouthful himself.
Lockett, is not a belly full in the kitchen just as good as a belly full in the parlor? Stay your stomach with that reflection.
He could. I thank your worship. I'll make a shift to stay my stomach with a slice of cold beef in the pantry.
Oh, Diggory, you are just too talkative. Then, if I happen to say good things or tell a good story at the table, you must not all burst out laughing as if you made part of the company.
Then he could. Your worship must not tell the story of the old grouse in the gun room. I can't help laughing at that. For the soul of me, we've laughed at that these 20 years.
Yes. That story is a good one. Well, honest, Diggory, you may laugh at that one, but still, remember to be attentive. Suppose one of our company should ask for a glass of wine. How will you behave? A glass of wine, sir, if you please. Why won't you move?
Because, your worship, I never have courage until I see the eatables and the drinkables brought up at the table. Until then, I'm as bold as a lion.
What? Will nobody move?
I'm not to leave this place.
Once, and I'm sure it cannot be mine.
You numbskulls! And so while, like your betters, you are quarreling for your places, my guest must be starved. Oh, you dunces. I find I must begin this all over again. Oh, no, but don't I hear a coach drive into the yard? To your post, blockheads. I'll go in the meantime and give my old friend's son a hearty reception up at the gate.
By the 11s, my place has gone quite out of my head.
I know that my place is to be everywhere.
Welcome, gentlemen. Very welcome. This way.
After the disappointments of the day, welcome once more, Charles, to the comforts of a clean room and a good fire. Upon my word, a very well-looking house. Antique, but creditable.
The usual fate of a large mansion. Having first ruined the master by good housekeeping, it at last comes to levy contributions as an inn.
As you say, we passengers are to be taxed to pay all these fine things. I have often seen a good sideboard or a marble chimney piece, though not actually put in the bill, inflame a reckoning confoundedly.
Travellers, George, must pay in all places. The only difference is that at good inns you pay dearly for the luxuries. In bad inns you are fleeced and starved.
You have lived very much among them. In truth, I have been surprised that you who have seen so much of the world with your natural good sense and your many opportunities could never yet acquire a requisite share of assurance.
Ah, the Englishman's malady. But tell me, George, where could I have learned that assurance you talk of? My life has been chiefly spent in a college or an inn, in seclusion from that lovely part of creation that chiefly teach men confidence. I don't know that I was ever familiarly acquainted with a single modest woman, except my mother. But among females of another class, I haven't...
Among them, you are impudent enough of all conscience.
They are of us,
But in the company of women of reputation, I never saw such an idiot. Such a trembler. You look for all the world as if you wanted an opportunity of stealing out of the room.
Why, man? That's because I do want to steal out of the room. Faith, I have often formed a resolution to break the ice and rattle away at any rate. But I don't know how. A single glance from a pair of fine eyes has totally overset my resolution. An impudent fellow may counterfeit modesty, but I'll be hanged if a modest man can ever counterfeit impudence.
If you could but say half the fine things to them that I've heard you lavish upon a barmaid of an inn or a college bedmate.
Why, George, I can't even say fine things to them. They freeze, they petrify me. They may talk of a comet or of a burning mountain, or some bagatelle, but to me, a modest woman, dressed out in all her finery, is the most tremendous object of the whole creation.
At this rate, man, how can you ever expect to marry?
Never. Unless, as among kings and princes, my bride were to be courted by proxy. If, indeed, like an English Eastern bridegroom, one were to be introduced to a wife he never saw before, it might be endured. But to go through all the terrors of a formal courtship, together with the episodes of aunts and grandmothers and cousins, and at last to blurt out the broad, staring question of, Madam, will you marry me? No, that's a strain much above me, I assure you.
I pity you. But how do you intend behaving to the lady you are come down to visit at the request of your father?
As I behave to all other ladies. Bow very low, answer yes or no to all her demands. But for the rest, I don't think I shall venture to look her in the face till I see my father's again.
I'm surprised that one who is so warm a friend can be so cool a lover.
To be explicit, my dear Hastings, my chief inducement down was to be instrumental in forwarding your happiness, not my own. Miss Neville loves you. The family doesn't know you. As my friend, you are sure of a reception, and let honor do the rest.
My dear Marlowe, but I'll suppress the emotion. Why a wretch meanly seeking to carry off a fortune? You should be the last man in the world I would apply for assistance. But Miss Neville's person is all that I ask, and that is mine, both from her deceased father's consent and her own inclination.
Happy man, you have talents and art to captivate any woman. I'm doomed to adore the sex and yet converse with the only part of it I despise. This stammer in my address, this awkward, prepossessing visage of mine, can never permit me to soar above the reach of a millionaire's apprentice, or one of the duchesses of Drury Lane. Ah, pshaw, this fellow here to interrupt us.
Gentlemen, once more, you are heartily welcome. Which one of you is Mr. Marlowe? Oh, sir, you are heartily welcome. It is not my way, you see, to receive you, any of my friends, with my back to the fire. I like to give a hearty reception in the old style at the gate. I like to see your horses and trunks taken care of.
He's got our names from the servants already. We approve your caution and hospitality. I've been thinking, George, of changing our traveling dresses in the morning. I'm grown confoundedly ashamed of mine.
I beg, Mr. Marlowe, you will use no ceremony in this house.
I fancy, Charles, you're right. The first blow is half the battle. I intend on opening the campaign with the white and gold.
Mr. Marlowe, Mr. Hastings, gentlemen, pray be under no constraint in this house. This is Liberty Hall, gentlemen. You may do just as you please here.
Yet, George, if we open the campaign too fiercely at first, we may want ammunition before it is over. I think to reserve the embroidery to secure a retreat.
Oh, you're talking of a retreat, Mr. Marlowe. Puts me in mind of the Duke of Marlborough when we went to besiege Dunedin. He first summoned the garrison, which might consist...
Don't you think the ventrity or waistcoat will do with the plain brown?
He first summoned the garrison, which might consist of about 5,000 men.
I think not. Brown and yellow mix, but very poorly.
I say, gentlemen, as I was telling you, he summoned the garrison, which might consist of 5,000 men with all appointed...
The girls do like finery.
Which might consist of about 5,000 men, well-appointed stores, ammunition, and other implements of war. Now, says the Duke of Marlborough to George Brooks that stood next to him. Oh, you must have heard of George Brooks. Now, upon my dukedom, says he, but I take the garrison without spilling a drop of blood. So I grabbed my men and go up to
my good friend, my good friend. If you gave us a glass of punch in the meantime, it would help to carry us on the siege with vigor.
Punch, sir? This is the most unaccountable kind of modesty I have ever met with.
Yes, sir. Punch. A glass of warm punch after our journey. We'll be comfortable. This is Liberty Hall, you know.
Well, here's a cup, sir.
So this fellow in his Liberty Hall will only let us have what he pleases.
I hope you will find this in your mind. I have prepared it with my own hands, and I'll believe you on the ingredients are tolerable. So will you be so good to pledge me, sir? Here, Mr. Marlowe, here is to our better acquaintance.
A very impudent fellow, this, but he's a character, and I'll humor him a little. Sir, my service to you.
I see this fellow wants to give us his company and forgets that he's an innkeeper before he has learned to be a gentleman.
From the excellence of your cup, my old friend, I suppose you have a good deal of business in this part of the country. Warm work now and then at elections, I suppose.
No, sir. I have long given that work over, since our betters have hit upon the expedience of electing each other. There is no business for us that sells ale.
So then you have no turn for politics, I find.
Not in the least. There was a time indeed. I fretted myself about the mistakes of the government, like other people. But finding myself that every day I grew more and more angry, and the government grew no more better, I left it to mend itself. Since then, I have had no more trouble in my head about Hyder Alley or Alley Kong than about Alley Croker. Sir, my service to you.
So that with eating above stairs and drinking below, with receiving your friends within and amusing them without, you lead a good bustling life of it.
I do, sir, but about a great deal, that's certain. Half the differences of the parish are adjusted right here in this very parlor.
And you have an argument in your cup, old gentleman. Better than any in Westminster Hall.
Young gentleman, that's a little philosophy.
Well, this is the first time I've ever heard of an innkeeper's philosophy.
So then, like an experienced general, you attack them on every quarter. If you find their reason manageable, you attack it with your philosophy. If you find they have no reason, you attack them with this. Here's to your health, my philosopher.
Good. Very good, thank you. Your generalship puts me in mind of Prince Eugene when he fought the Turks at the Battle of Belgrade. You shall hear this fascinating story.
Instead of the Battle of Belgrade, good sir, I believe it's almost time to talk about supper. What has your philosophy got in the house for supper?
For supper, sir? Was there ever such a request to a man in his own house?
Yes, sir. Supper, sir. I begin to feel an appetite. I shall make devilish work tonight in the larder, I promise you.
Such a brazen dog, sure never my eyes behold. Why, really, sir, as for supper, I can't well tell. My Dorothy and the cookmaid settled these things between them. I leave these kinds of things entirely for them.
You do you?
Entirely. By the by, I believe they might be an actual consultation about what's for supper this moment in the kitchen.
Then I beg they'll admit me as one of their privy council. It's a way I have got. When I travel, I always choose to regulate my own supper. Let the cook be called. Oh, no offense, I hope, sir.
Oh, no, sir. None in the least. Yet I don't know how. Our Bridget, the cookmaid, is not very communicative on these occasions. Should we send for her, she might just scold me out of the house.
Let's see your list of larder then. I ask it as a favor. I always match my appetite to my bill of fare.
Sir, he's very right, and it is my way too.
Sir, you have a right to command here. Here, Roger, bring us the bill of fare for tonight's supper. I believe it is drawn out. Your manner, Mr. Hastings, puts me in mind of my great-uncle Coonerwaller. It was a saying of his that no man was sure of his supper till he eaten it.
All upon the high road. His uncle a colonel. We shall soon hear of his mother being the justice of the peace. But let's hear the bill of fare.
What's here? For the first course? For the second course? For the dessert? What the devil, sir? Do you think we have brought down a whole joiners' company? Or the Corporation of Bedford to eat supper with us? 2 or 3 little things, clean and comfortable, will do.
But let's hear it.
For the first course, at the top, a pig and prune sauce.
Oh, damn your pig, I say.
Huh?
And damn your prune sauce, I say.
And yet, gentlemen, to men that are hungry, pig with prune sauce is very good eating.
At the bottom, a calf's tongue and brains.
Let your brains be knocked out, good sir. I do not like them.
Or may you clap them on a plate by themselves? I do.
Their impudence confounds me. Gentlemen, you are my guests. Make whatever alterations you please. Is there anything else you wish to retrench or alter? Gentlemen?
Item, a pork pie, a boiled rabbit and sausages, a Florentine, a shaking of pudding, and a dish of taffety cream.
Confound your made dishes. I shall be as much a loss at this in this house as I am at a green and yellow dinner at the French ambassador's table. I'm for plain eating.
Well, I'm sorry, gentlemen, that I have nothing that you like. But if there be anything you have particular fancy to ask.
Why, really, sir, your bill of fare is so exquisite that any one part of it is full as good as another. Just send us what you please. So much for supper. And now to see that our beds are aired and properly taken care of.
I entreat you, leave that to me. You shall not stir a step.
Leave that to you?
Yes.
I protest, sir. You must excuse me. I always look to these things myself.
I must insist, sir. You'll make yourself easy on that head.
You see, I am resolved on it, sir. A very troublesome fellow this, as I have ever met with.
Well, sir, I am resolved to at least to attend you. This may be the most modern modesty, but I never saw anything like such old-fashioned impudence.
So I find this fellow's civilities begin to grow troublesome. But who can be angry at those assiduities which are meant to please him? Ha! What do I see? Miss Neville, by all that's happy.
My dear Hastings, to what unexpected good fortune, to what accident am I to ascribe this happy meeting?
Or rather, let me ask the same question, as I could never have hoped to meet my dearest Constance at an inn.
An inn? I'm sure you mistake. My aunt, my guardian, lives here. What could induce you to think this house an inn?
My friend, Mr. Marlowe, with whom I came down, and I have been sent here as to an inn, I assure you. A young fellow with whom we accidentally met at a hardhouse bar directed us hither.
Certainly it must be one of my hopeful cousin's tricks, of whom you have heard me talk so often.
He whom your aunt intends for you. He of whom I've such just apprehensions.
You have nothing to fear from him, I assure you. You'd adore him if you knew how heartily he despises me. He knows it too, and has undertaken to court me for him, and actually begins to think she has made a conquest.
Thou dear dissembler. You must know, my Constance, I have just seized this opportunity of my friend's visit here to get admittance into the family. The horses that carried us down here are now fatigued from their journey, but they'll soon be refreshed. And then, if my dearest girl will trust in her faithful Hastings, we shall soon be landed in France.
I have often told you that though ready to obey you, I yet should leave my little fortune behind with reluctance. The greatest part of it was left me by my uncle, the India director, and chiefly consists in jewels. I have been for some time persuading my aunt to let me wear them. I fancy I'm very near succeeding. The instant they are put into my possession, you shall find me ready to make them and myself yours.
Perish the bubbles. Your person is all I desire. In the meantime, my friend Marlowe must not be led into his mistake. I know the strange reserve of his temper is such that if abruptly informed of it, he would instantly quit the house before our plan was ripe for execution.
But how shall we keep him in the deception? Miss Hardcastle is just returned from walking. What if we still continue to deceive him? This way.
Oh, I have an idea. What if
The assiduities of these good people tease me beyond bearing. My host seems to think it ill manners to leave me alone, so he claps not only himself, but his old-fashioned wife on my back. They talk of coming to sup with us, too. And then, I suppose, we are to run the gauntlet through all the rest of the family. Oh, what have we got here?
My dear Charles, let me congratulate you. The most fortunate accident. Who do you think is just alighted?
Cannot guess.
Our mistress's boy, Miss Hardcastle and Miss Neville. Give me leave to introduce Miss Constance Neville to your acquaintance. Happening to dine in the neighborhood, they called on their return to take fresh horses here. Miss Hardcastle just stepped into the next room and will be back in an instant. Wasn't it lucky, eh?
I have been mortified enough of all conscience, and here comes something to complete my embarrassment.
Well, but wasn't it the most fortunate thing in the world?
Oh, yes, very fortunate. A most joyful encounter. But our dresses, George, you know, are in disorder. What if we should postpone the happiness till tomorrow? Tomorrow at her own house. It will be every bit as convenient and rather more respectful. Tomorrow, let it be.
By no means, sir. Your ceremony will displease her. The disorder of your dress will show the ardor of your impatience. Besides, she knows you are in the house and will permit you to see her.
Oh, the devil. How shall I support it? Hastings, you must not go. You are to assist me, you know. I shall be confoundedly ridiculous. Yet hang it, I'll take courage.
Oh, man, it's but the first plunge and all's over. She's but a woman, you know.
And of all women, she that I dread most to encounter.
Miss Hardcastle, Mr. Marlowe. I'm proud of bringing two persons of such merit together that only want to know to esteem each other.
Now, for meeting with my modest gentleman with a demure face and quiet in his own manner. I'm glad of your arrival, or your safe arrival, sir. I'm told you had some accidents, by the way.
Only a few, madam. Yes, we had some. Yes, madam. A good many accidents. But we should be sorry, madam, or rather glad of any accidents that are so agreeably concluded.
You never spoke better in your whole life. Keep it up, and I'll ensure you the victory.
I'm afraid you flatter, sir. You that have seen so much of the finest company can find little entertainment in an obscure corner of the country.
I have lived indeed in the world, madam, but I have kept very little company. I have been but an observer upon life, madam, while others were enjoying it.
But that, I am told, is the way to enjoy it at last.
Cicero never spoke better. Once more, and you are confirmed in assurance forever.
Stand by me then, and when I am down, throw in a word or two to set me up again.
An observer like you, upon life were, I fear, disagreeably employed, since you must have had much more to censure than to approve.
Pardon me, madam. I was always willing to be amused. The folly of most people is rather an object of mirth than uneasiness.
Bravo. Never spoke better well in your whole life. Well, Miss Hardcastle, I see that you and Mr. Marlowe are going to be very good company. I believe our being here will embarrass the interview.
Not in the least, Mr. Hastings. We like your company of all things. Sounds, George, sure you won't go. How can you leave us?
Our presence will but spoil the conversation, so we'll retire to the next room. You don't consider, man, that we are to manage a little tete-a-tete of our own.
But you have not been wholly an observer, I presume, sir. The ladies, I should hope, have employed some part of your addresses.
Pardon me, madam. I as of yet studied only to deserve them.
And that, some say, is the very worst way to obtain them.
Perhaps so, madam, but I love to converse only with the more grave and sensible part of the sex. But I'm afraid I grow tiresome.
Not at all, sir. There's nothing I like so much as grave conversation myself. I could hear it forever. Indeed, I have often been surprised how a man of sentiment could ever admire those light, airy pleasures where nothing reaches the heart.
It's a disease of the mind, madam. In the variety of tastes, that there must also be some who, wanting a relish for,
I understand you, sir. There must be some who, wanting a relish for refined pleasures, pretend to despise what they are incapable of tasting.
My meaning, madam, but infinitely better expressed. And I can't help observing,
Could ever suppose this fellow impudent on some occasions. You were going to observe, sir?
I was observing, madam. I protest, madam. I forgot what I was going to observe.
I vow, and so do I. You are observing, sir, that in this age of hypocrisy, something about hypocrisy, sir.
Oh, yes, madam. In this age of hypocrisy, there are a few who, upon strict inquiry, do not, I
understand you perfectly, sir.
Egad, that's more than I do myself.
You mean that in this hypocritical age, there are few that do not condemn in public what they practice in private and think they pay every debt to virtue when they praise it.
True, madam. Those who have most virtue in their mouths have least of it in their bosoms. But I am sure I tire you, madam.
Not in the least, sir. There's something so agreeable and spirited in your manner, such life and force. Pray, sir, go on.
Yes, madam, I was saying. There are some occasions when a total want of courage, madam, destroys all the... and puts us upon... I
agree with you entirely. A want of courage upon some occasions assumes the appearance of ignorance and betrays us when we most want to excel. I beg you'll proceed.
Yes. Yes, madam. Morally speaking, madam. Oh, but I see Miss Neville expecting us in the next room. I would not intrude for the world.
I protest, sir. I was never more agreeably entertained in all my life. Pray, go on.
Yes, madam, I was... Oh, but she beckons us to join her, madam. Shall I do the honor and attend you myself?
Well, then, I'll follow.
This pretty smooth dialogue has done for me.
Was there ever such a sober, sentimental interview? I am certain he scarce looked in my face the whole time. Yet the fellow, but for his unaccountable bashfulness, is pretty well, too. He has good sense, but then so buried in his fears that it fatigues one more than ignorance. If I could teach him a little confidence, it would be doing somebody that I know of a piece of service. But who is that somebody? That faith is a question I can scarce answer.
What do you follow me for, Cousin Con? I wonder you're not ashamed to be so very engaging.
Oh, I hope, cousin, one may speak to one's own relations and not be to blame.
Aye, but I know what sort of a relation you want to make me, though. But it won't do. I tell you, Cousin Con, it won't do. So, I beg you'll keep your distance. I want no near relationship.
Well, I vow, Mr. Hastings, you are very entertaining. There's nothing in the world I love to talk of so much as London and the fashions, though I was never there myself.
Never there? You amaze me. From your air and manner, I'd concluded you had been bred all your life at either Ranelagh, St. James's, or Tower Wolff.
Oh, sir, you're only pleased to say so. We country persons can have no manner at all. I'm in love with the town, and that serves to raise me above some of our neighbouring rustics. But who can have a manor that has never seen the Pantheon, the Grotto Gardens, the Borough, and such places where the nobility chiefly resort? All I can do is to enjoy London at second hand. I take care to know every tete-a-tete from the Scandalous magazine and have all the fashions as they come out in a letter from the two Miss Ricketts of Crooked Lane. Pray, how do you like this head, Mr. Hastings?
Extremely elegant and degaggy, upon my word, madam. Your friseur is a Frenchman, perhaps?
Oh, I protest. I dressed it myself from a print in the ladies' memorandum book from the last year.
Indeed, such a head in a sidebox at a playhouse would draw as much attention as my Lady Mayoress at a city ball.
I vow, since inoculation began, there is no such thing to be seen as a plain woman. So one must dress a little particular, or one may escape in the crowd.
But that can never be your case, madam, in any dress.
Yet, what signifies my dressing when I have such a piece of antiquity by my side as Mr. Hardcastle? All I can say will never argue down a single button from his clothes. I have often wanted him to throw off his great flaxen wig and, where he was bald, to plaster it over like my Lord Pateley with powder.
You are right, madam, for among the ladies there are none ugly, and so among the men there are none old.
But what do you think his answer was? Why, with his usual Gothic vivacity, he said I only wanted him to throw off his wig to convert it into a tet for my own wearing.
Intolerable! At your age, you should be able to wear what you please, and it must become you.
Pray, Mr. Hastings, what do you take to be the most fashionable age about town?
Some time ago, 40's old mode. But I'm told the ladies intend on bringing up 50 for the ensuing winter.
Seriously? Then I shall be too young for the fashions.
No lady begins now to put on jewels till she's past 40. For instance, Miss there, in a polite circle, would be considered as a child, a mere maker of samplers.
And yet, Mrs. Niece thinks of herself as much a woman and is as fond of jewels as the oldest of us all.
Your niece, is she? And that young gentleman, a brother of yours, I presume?
My sons, sir. They are contracted to each other. Observe their little sports. They fall in and out 10 times a day as if they were man and wife already. Well, Tony, child, what soft things are you saying to your cousin Constance this evening?
I have been saying no soft things, but that it's very hard and followed about so. Ecod, I've not a place in the house now that's left to myself, but the stable.
Never mind him, Con, my dear. He's in another story behind your back.
There's something generous in my cousin's manner. He falls out before faces to be forgiven in private.
That's a damn confounded crack.
Oh, he's a sly one. And don't you think they are like each other about the mouth, Mr. Hastings? The Blenkinsop mouth, to a T. They're of a size, too. Back to back, my pretties, that Mr. Hastings may see you. Come, Tony.
You would as good not make me, I tell you.
Oh, Lud, he has almost cracked my head.
Oh, the monster. For shame, Tony. You a man and behave so.
If I'm a man, let me have my fortune. Ecod, I'll not be made a fool of no longer.
Is this ungrateful boy all the time to get for the pains I have taken in your education? I that have rocked you in your cradle and fed that pretty mouth with a spoon. Did I not work that waistcoat to make you genteel? Did not I prescribe for you every day and weep while the receipt was operating?
God, you had reason to weep, for you have been dosing me ever since I was born. I have gone through every receipt for the complete housewife 10 times over, and you have thoughts of coursing me through Quincy next spring, but, ecod, I tell you, I'll not be made a fool of no longer.
Wasn't it all for your good, Viper? Wasn't it all for your good?
I wish you'd let me and my good alone then. Snubbing this way when I'm in spirits. If I'm to have any good, let it come of itself. Not to keep digging it into one so.
That's false. I never see you when you are in spirits. No, Tony, you then go to the alehouse or kennel. I'm never to be delighted with your agreeable wild notes, unfeeling monster.
God, Mamma, your own notes are the wildest of the two.
Was ever the like. But I see he wants to break my heart. I see he does.
Dear madam, permit me to lecture the young gentleman a little. I'm certain I can persuade him to his duty.
Well, I must retire. Come, Constance, my love. You see, Mr. Hastings, the wretchedness of my situation. Was ever poor woman so plagued with a dear, sweet, pretty, provoking, undutiful boy?
There was a young man riding by, and fain would have his will. Ring, do, diddle, o, dee. Don't mind her. Let her cry. It's the comfort of her heart. I have seen her and sister cry over a book for an hour together. And they said they liked the book the better the more it made them cry.
Then you're no friend to the ladies, I find, my pretty young friend.
That's as I find them.
Not to her of your mother's choosing, I dare answer, and yet she appears to me a pretty well-tempered girl.
That's because you don't know her as well as I. Ecod, I know every inch about her, and there's not a more bitter cantankerous tale in all Christendom.
Pretty encouragement for a lover.
I have seen her since the height of that. She has as many tricks as a hare in a thicket or a colt at the first day's breaking.
To me she appears but sensible and silent.
Aye, before company. But when she's with her playmate, she's as loud as a hog at a gate.
But there's a modesty about her that charms me.
Yes, but curb her never so little. She kicks up and you're flung in a ditch.
Well, you must allow her a little beauty. Yes, you must allow her some beauty.
Ben Bork, she's all a made-up thing, man. Ah, could you but see bed bouncer of these parts, you might then talk of beauty. Ecod, she has 2 eyes as black as sloes and cheeks as broad and red as a pulpit cushion. She'd make 2 of she.
Well, what say you to a friend that would take this bitter bargain off your hands?
Anon?
Would you thank him who would take Miss Neville and leave you to your happiness and your dear Betsy?
Aye. Oh, but where is there such a friend? For who would take her?
I am he. If you but assist me, I'll engage to whip her off to France, and you'll hear no more of her.
Assist you? Ecod I will, to the last drop of my blood. I'll clap a pair of horses to your chaise that'll front you off in a twinkling, and may he get you a part of her fortune beside, in jewels that you little dream of.
My dear squire, this looks like a lad of spirits.
Come along, then, and you shall see more of my spirit before you've done with me. We are the boys that fear no noise where the thundering cannons roar.
Act the 3rd, sometime later.
What could my old friend Sir Charles mean by recommending his son as the modest man in town? To me, he appears the most impudent piece of brass that ever spoke with the tongue. He has taken possession of my easy chair by the fireside already. He took off his boots in my parlor and desired me to see them taken care of. I am desirous to know how his impudence affects, my dear daughter. She will be certainly shocked of it. Oh, well, my Kate, I see you have changed your dress as I bade you, and yet I believe there was no great occasion.
I find such a pleasure, sir, in obeying your commands that I take care to observe them without ever debating their propriety.
And yet, Kate, I sometimes give you some cause, particularly when I recommended my modest gentleman to you as a lover today.
You taught me to expect something extraordinary, and I find the original exceeds the description.
I was never so surprised in my life. He has quite confounded all my faculties.
I never saw anything like it. And a man of the world, too.
Aye, and he learned it all abroad. Oh, what a fool was I to think a young man could learn modesty by traveling. He might as soon learn wit at a masquerade.
It seems all natural to him.
A good deal assisted by bad company and a French dancing master.
Oh, sure you mistake, Papa. A French dancing master could never have taught him that timid look, that awkward address, that bashful manner.
Whose look? Whose manner, child?
Mr. Marlowe's. His mauvaise honte, his timidity, it struck me at first sight.
Oh, then your first sight has deceived you, for I think him as one of the most brazen first sights that ever astonished my senses.
Oh, sure, sir, you rally. I never saw anyone so modest.
Can you be serious? I never saw such a bouncing, swaggering puppy since I was born. Bully Dawson was but a fool to him.
Surprising. He met me with a respectful bow, a stammering voice, and a look fixed on the ground.
He met me with a loud voice, a lordly air, and a familiarity that made my blood freeze again.
He treated me with diffidence and respect, censured the manners of the age, admired the prudence of girls that never laughed, tired me with apologies for being tiresome, then left the room with a bow and, "Madam, I would not for the world detain you."
Well, he spoke to me as if he knew me all his life, asked me 20 questions, and then never waited for me to answer. Interrupted my best remarks with some silly pun, and when I was in my best story of the Duke of Marlborough and Prince Eugene, he asked if I had not a good hand at making puns. Yes, Kate, he asked you, Papa, if he was a maker of puns.
Oh, one of us must certainly be mistaken.
If he be what he has shown himself, I am determined he shall never have my consent.
And if he be the sullen thing, I take him, he shall never have mine.
Well, then in this one thing we are agreed to reject him.
Yes, but upon conditions. For if you should find him less impudent and I more presuming, if you find him more respectful and I more importunate, I don't know, the fellow is well enough for a man. Certainly we don't meet many such at a horse race in the country.
If we should so find him so, but that's impossible. The first appearance has done my business, and I am seldom deceived in that.
And yet there may be many good qualities under that first appearance.
When a girl finds a fellow's outside to her taste, she then sets on guessing what the rest of the furniture looks like. With her, a smooth face stands for good sense, and a genteel figure for every other virtue.
I hope, sir, a conversation begun with a compliment to my good sense won't end with a sneer at my understanding.
Pardon me, Kate, but if young Mr. Brazen can find the art of reconciling contradictions, he then may please us both. Perhaps.
And as one of us must be mistaken, what if we go to make further discoveries?
Agreed. But depend on it that I'm the one in the right.
And depend on it, I'm not much in the wrong.
Con, I have got them. Here they are, my cousin Con's necklaces, bobs and all. My mother shan't cheat the poor souls out of their fortune neither. Oh, my Janice, is that you?
My dear friend, how have you managed with your mother? I hope you have amused her with pretending love for your cousin and that you're willing to be reconciled at last. Our horses will be refreshed in a short time and we shall be soon ready to set off.
And here's something to bear your charges by the way, your sweetheart's jewels. Keep them, and hang those, I say, that would rob you of one of them.
But how have you procured them from your mother?
Ask me no questions and I'll tell you no fibs. I procured them by the rule of thumb. If I had not a key to every drawer in Mother's bureau, how could I go to the alehouse so often as I do? An honest man may rob himself of his own at any time.
Thousands do it every day. But to be plain with you, Miss Neville is endeavoring to procure them from her aunt this very instant. If she succeeds, it would be the most delicate way of obtaining them.
Well, keep them till you know how it will be. But I know how it will be well enough. She'd as soon part with the only sound tooth in her head.
But I dread the effects of her resentment when she finds that she has lost them.
Never mind, you mind her resentment. Leave me to manage that. I didn't value her resentment the bounce of a cracker. Oh, zoons, here they are. Morris, Prince.
Indeed, Constance, you amaze me. Such a girl as you want jewels. It will be time enough for jewels, my dear, 20 years hence, when your beauty begins to want repairs.
But what will repair beauty at 40 will certainly improve it at 20, madam.
Yours, my dear, can admit of none. That natural blush is beyond 1,000 ornaments. Besides, child, jewels are quite out at present. Don't you see half the ladies of our acquaintance, my Lady Daylight and Mrs. Crump and the rest of them, carry their jewels to town and bring nothing but paste and moccasites back?
But who knows, madam, but somebody that shall be nameless would like me best with all my little finery about me.
Consult your glass, my dear, and then see if, with such a pair of eyes, you want any better sparklers. What do you think, Tony, my dear? Does your cousin Con want any jewels in your eyes to set off her beauty?
That's as thereafter may be.
My dear aunt, if you knew how it would oblige me.
A parcel of old-fashioned rose and table-cut things. They would make you look like the court of King Solomon at a puppet show. Besides, I believe I can't readily come at them. They may be missing for aught I know to the contrary.
Then why don't you tell her so at once, as she's so longing for them? Tell her they're lost. It's the only way to quiet her. Say they're lost and call me to bear witness.
You know, my dear, I'm only keeping them for you. So if I say they're gone, you'll bear me witness, will you?
Never fear me. You could. I'll say I saw them taken out with my own eyes.
I desire them for but a day, madam. I just to be permitted to show them as relics, and then they may be locked up again.
Oh, to be plain with you, my dear Constance, if I could find them, you should have them. They're missing, I assure you. Lost for aught I know, but we must have patience wherever they are.
I'll not believe it. This is but a shallow pretense to deny me. I know they are too valuable to be so slightly kept, and as you have to answer for the loss, I will...
Don't be alarmed, Constance. If they be lost, I must restore an equivalent, but my son knows they are missing and not to be found.
That I can bear witness to. They are missing and not to be found. I'll take my oath on it.
You must learn resignation, my dear, for though we lose our fortune, yet we should not lose our patience. See me, how calm I am.
People are generally calm at the misfortune of others.
Now, I wonder a girl of your good sense should waste a thought upon such trumpery. We shall soon find them. In the meantime, you shall make use of my garnets till your jewels be found.
I detest garnets.
The most becoming things in the world who set off a clear complexion. You have often seen how well they look upon me. You shall have them.
Ooh, I dislike them of all things. You shan't stir. Was ever anything so provoking to mislay my own jewels and force me to wear her trumpery?
Don't be a fool. If she gives you the garnets, take what you can get. The jewels are your own already. I have stolen them out of her bureau, and she does not know it. Fly to your spark and tell you more of the matter. Leave me to manage her.
My dear cousin.
Vanish. If she's here and has missed them already. And zoons, how she fidgets and spits about like a Catherine wheel.
Confusion, thieves, robbers. We are cheated, plundered, broke open, undone.
Oh, what's the matter? What's the matter, Mamma? I hope nothing has happened to any of the good family.
We are robbed. My bureau has been broken open, the jewels taken out, and I'm undone.
Oh, was that all? Oh, by the laws, I never saw it acted better in my life. It could. I thought you was ruined in earnest.
Why, boy, I am ruined in earnest. My bureau has been broken open and all taken away.
Stick to that. Stick to that. I'll bear witness, you know. Call me to bear witness.
I tell you, Tony, by all that's precious, the jewels are gone, and I shall be ruined forever.
Sure, I know they're gone, and I'm to say so.
My dearest Tony, but hear me. They're gone, I say.
By the laws, Mamma, you make me to laugh. Oh, I know who took them on up.
Was there ever such a blockhead that can't tell the difference between jest and earnest? I tell you, I'm not in jest, booby.
That's right, that's right. Oh, you must be in a bitter passion, and then nobody will suspect either of us. I'll bear witness that they are gone.
Was there ever such a cross-grained brute that won't hear me? Can you bear witness that you're no better than a fool? Was ever poor woman too so beset with fools on one hand and thieves on the other?
I can bear witness to that.
Bear witness again, you blockhead, you, and I'll turn you out of the room directly. My poor niece, what will become of her? Do you laugh, you unfeeling brute? As if you enjoyed my distress?
I can bear witness to that.
Do you insult me, monster? I'll teach you to vex your mother, I will.
I can bear witness to that.
What an unaccountable creature is that brother of mine to send them to the house as an inn. I don't wonder at his impudence.
But what is more, madam, the young gentleman, as you passed by in your present dress, asked me if you were the barmaid. He mistook you for the barmaid, madam.
Did he? Then as I live, I'm resolved to keep up the delusion. Tell me, Pimple, how do you like my present dress? Don't you think I look like Cherry in the Bow Stratagem?
It is the dress, madam, that every lady wears in the country, but when she visits or receives company.
And you are sure he does not remember my face or person?
Certain of it.
I vow, I thought so. For though we spoke for some time together, yet his fears were such that he never once looked up during the interview. Indeed, if he had, my bonnet would have kept him from seeing me.
But what do you hope from keeping him in his mistake?
In the first place, I shall be seen, and that is no small advantage to a girl who brings her face to the market. Then I shall perhaps make an acquaintance, and that's no small victory gained over one who never addresses any but the wildest of her sex. But my chief aim is to take my gentleman off his guard and, like an invisible champion of romance, examine the giant's force before I offer to combat.
But you're sure you can act your part and disguise your voice so that he may mistake that, as he's already mistaken your person?
Never fear me. I think I've got the true bar cant. Did your honour call? Attend the lion there. Pipes and tobacco for the angel. The lamb has been outrageous this half hour.
It'll do, madam. Oh, but he's here.
What a bawling in every part of the house. I have scarce a moment's repose, and if I go to the best room, there I find my host and his story. If I fly to the gallery, there we have my hostess, with her curtsy down to the ground. I have at last got a moment to myself, and now for recollection.
Did you call, sir? Did your honour call?
As for Miss Hardcastle, she's too grave and sentimental for me.
Did your honour call?
No, miss. Besides, from the glimpse I had of her, I think she squints.
I'm sure, sir. I heard the bell ring.
No. I have pleased my father, however, by coming down, and tomorrow I will please myself by returning.
Perhaps the other gentleman called, sir.
I tell you no.
I should be glad to know, sir. We have such a parcel of servants.
No, I tell you. Yes, miss, I think I did call. I vow, miss, you are vastly handsome.
Oh, law, sir, you'll make one ashamed.
Never saw a more sprightly, malicious eye. Yes, my dear, I did call. Have you got any of your...
No, sir. We've been out of that these 10 days.
One may call in this house, I find, to very little purpose. I suppose I should call for a taste, just by the way of a trial, of the nectar of your lips. Perhaps I might be disappointed in that too.
Nectar? That's a liquor there's no call for in these parts. French, I suppose. We sell no French wines here, sir.
Of true English growth, I assure you.
Then it's odd I should not know it. We brew all sorts of wines in this house, and I've lived here these 18 years.
18 years? Why, one would think, miss, you kept the bar before you were born. How old are you?
Oh, sir, I must not tell my age. They say women and music should never be dated.
To guess at this distance, you can't be much above 40. Yet in era, I don't think so much. But by coming close, to some women they look younger still. But when we come very close indeed...
Your distance? One would think you wanted to know one's age as they do horses, by mark of mouth.
I protest, miss. You use me extremely ill. If you kept me at this distance, how is it possible you and I can ever be acquainted?
And who wants to be acquainted with you? I want no such acquaintance, not I. I'm sure you did not treat Miss Hardcastle, that was here a while ago, in this obstropolous manner. I'll warrant me, before her you looked dashed and kept bowing to the ground and talked for all the world as if you was before a justice of peace.
Egad, she has hit it sure enough. In awe of her, miss. A mere awkward squinting thing? No. I find you don't know me. I laughed. I rallied her a little, but I was unwilling to be too severe. No, I could not be too severe. Curse me.
Oh, then, sir, you are a favourite, I find, among the ladies.
Oh, yes, my dear, a great favourite. And yet, hang me, I don't see what they find in me to follow. At the ladies' club in town, I'm called their agreeable Rattle. Rattle, miss, not my real name, but one I'm known by. My name is Solomons. Mr. Solomons, my dear, at your service.
Oh, hold on, sir. You're introducing me to your club, not to yourself. And you're so great a favourite there, you say?
Yes, my dear. There's Mrs. Mantrap, Lady Becky Blackleg, the Countess of Sligo, Mrs. Langhorns, old Miss Biddy Buckskin, and your humble servant. Keep up the spirit of the place.
Oh, then it's a very merry place, I suppose.
Yes, as merry as cards, supper, wine, and old women can make us.
And their agreeable rattle.
Gad, I don't quite like this chit. She looks knowing, methinks. You laugh, miss.
But laugh to think what time they all have for minding their work or their family.
All's well, she don't laugh at me. Do you ever work, miss?
Ah, sure. There's not a screen or quilt in the whole house but what can bear witness to that.
Oddzo! Then you must show me your embroidery. I embroider and draw patterns myself a little. If you want a judge of your work, you must apply to me.
Okay, but the colours do not look well by candlelight. You shall see all in the morning.
And why not now, my angel? Such beauty fires beyond power of resistance. Pshaw, the father here, my old luck. I never nicked 7 that I did not throw Ames ace 3 times following.
So, madam, so I find this to be your martyr's lover. This is your humble admirer that kept his eyes fixed to the ground and only adored you at a humble distance. Oh, Kate, art thou not ashamed to deceive your father so?
Never trust me, dear papa, but he's still the modest man I first took him for. You'll be convinced of it as well as I.
By the hand of my body, I believe his impudence is infectious. Didn't I see him just seize your hand? Didn't I see him haul you around like a milkmaid? And now you talk of respect and his modesty. Oh, forsooth.
But if I shortly convince you of his modesty, that he has only the faults that will pass off with time and the virtues that will improve with age, I hope you'll forgive him.
The girl would actually make one run mad. I'll tell you, I will not be convinced. I am convinced. He has scarce been here 3 hours in this house, and he has already encroached on all my prerogatives. You may like his impudence and call it modesty, but my son-in-law, madam, must have very different qualifications.
Sir, I ask but this night to convince you.
You shall not have half the time, for I have thoughts of turning him out this very hour.
Give me that hour then, and I hope to satisfy you.
Well, an hour let it be then, but I will have no trifling with your father. All fair and open. Do you mind me?
I hope, sir, you have ever found that I've considered your commands as my pride, for your kindness is such that my duty as yet has been inclination.
And now, dear audience, we're going to take an intermission. We shall return to the play at 8:40. Please take this time to get up, stretch your legs, relieve yourselves, and perhaps try your hand at making punch. Ta-ta. Hello, lovely viewers. Welcome back to She Stoops to Conquer. And now we continue into Act the Fourth, back into the house sometime later.
You surprise me. Sir Charles Marlowe expected here this night. Where have you had your information?
You may depend on it. I just saw his letter to Mr. Hardcastle, in which he tells him he intends setting out a few hours after his son.
Well, then, my Constance, all must be completed before he arrives. He knows me, and should he find me, he will discover my name and perhaps my designs to the rest of the family.
The jewels, I hope, are safe.
Yes, I've sent them to Marlowe, who keeps the keys of our baggage. In the meantime, I'll go prepare matters for our elopement. I've had the squire's promise of a fresh pair of horses, and if I should not see him again, we'll write him for further instruction.
Well, success attend you. In the meantime, I'll go and amuse my aunt with the old pretense of a violent passion for my cousin.
I wonder what Hastings could mean by sending me so valuable a thing as a casket to keep for him, when he knows the only place I have is the seat of a post coach at an inn-door. Have you deposited the casket with the landlady as I ordered you? Have you put it into her own hands?
Yes, Your Honor.
She said she'd keep it safe, did she?
Yes, she said she'd keep it safe enough. She asked me how I came by it, and she said she had a great mind to make me give an account of myself.
They're safe, however. What an unaccountable set of beings have we got amongst? This little barmaid runs through my head most strangely and drives out the absurdities of all the rest of the family. She's mine. She must be mine, or I'm greatly mistaken.
Bless me, I quite forgot to tell her I intend to prepare the bottom of the garden. Marlowe here, and in spirits too.
Give me joy, George. Crown me, shadow me with laurels. Well, George, after all, we modest fellows don't want for success among the women.
Some women, you mean? But what success has your honest modesty been crowned with now that it grows so insolent upon us?
Didn't you see the tempting, brisk, lovely little thing that runs about the house with a bunch of keys to its girdle?
Well, and what then?
She's mine, you rogue. Such fire, such motion, such eyes, such lips, but egad, she would not let me kiss them, though.
But are you so very sure of her?
Why, man, she talked of showing me her work above the stairs, and I am to improve the pattern.
But how can you, Charles, go about to rob a woman of her modesty?
Pshaw, pshaw. We all know the honor of a barmaid of an inn. I don't intend to rob her. Take my word for it. There's nothing in this house I shan't honestly pay for.
I believe the girl has virtue.
And if she has, I should be the last man in the world that would attempt to corrupt it.
You have taken care of, I hope, the casket I sent you to lock up. Is it in safety?
Yes, it is safe enough. I have taken care of it. But how could you think the seat of a post coach at an inn-door is a place of safety? Numbskull! I have taken better precautions than you did for yourself. I have made
what?
To have a servant. I have sent it to the landlady to keep for you.
To the landlady?
The landlady!
You did?
I did! She's to be answerable for its forthcoming, you know.
Yes, she'll bring it forth with a witness.
Wasn't I right? I believe you'll allow I acted prudently upon this occasion.
He must not see my uneasiness.
You seem a little disconcerted, though, methinks. Sure, nothing has happened.
No, nothing. Never was in better spirits in all my life. And so you left it with the landlady, who no doubt very readily undertook the charge.
Rather too readily. For she not only kept the casket, but, through her great precaution, was going to keep the messenger too.
They're safe, however.
As a guinea in a miser's purse.
So, now all hopes of fortune at an end, and we must set off without it. Well, Charles, I'll leave you to your meditations and the pretty barmaid, and may you be as successful for yourself as you have been for me.
Thank you, George. I ask no more. Keep the messenger. What?
I no longer know my own house. It has turned topsy-turvy. His servants have gotten drunk already. I bear it no longer. And yet, from my respect for his father, I need to be calm. Mr. Marlowe, your servant, I'm your very humble servant.
Sir, your humble servant. What's to be the wonder now?
I believe, sir, you must be sensible, sir, that no man alive ought to be more welcome than your father's son, sir. I hope you think so.
I do from my soul, sir. I don't want much entreaty. I generally make my father's son welcome wherever he goes.
I believe you do from my soul, sir, but though I say nothing to you about your conduct, that of your servants is insufferable. Their manner of drinking is setting a very bad example in this house, I assure you.
I protest, my very good sir. That is no fault of mine. If they don't drink as they are to blame. I ordered them not to spare the cellar, I did. I assure you. Here, let one of my servants come up. My positive directions were that as I did not drink myself, they should make up for my deficiencies below.
Then they had your orders for what they do. I'm satisfied.
They had, I assure you. You shall hear from one of themselves. You, Jeremy, come forward, sirrah. What were my orders? Were you not told to drink freely and call for what you thought fit for the good of the house?
I begin to lose my patience.
Please, Your Honor, liberty and Fleet Street forever. Though I'm but a servant, I'm as good as another man. I'll drink before no man before supper, sir. Damn! Good liquor will sit upon a good supper, but a good supper will not sit on my conscience, sir.
You see, my old friend, this fellow is as drunk as he can possibly be. I don't know what you'd have more unless you'd have the poor devil soused in a beer barrel.
Zounds! He'll drive me distracted if I contain myself any longer. Mr. Marlowe, sir, I have submitted to your insolence for more than 4 hours, and I see no likelihood of it coming to an end. I am now resolved to be the master here, sir, and I desire that you and your drunken pack leave my house directly.
Leave your house? Sure, you jest, my good friend. What, when I'm doing what I can to please you?
I tell you, sir, you do not please me. So I desire you to leave my house.
Sure, you cannot be serious. At this time of night, and such a night, you only mean to banter me.
I tell you, sir, I am serious. And now that my passions are aroused, I say that this house is mine, sir. This house is mine, and I command you to leave it directly.
A puddle in a storm. I shan't stir a step, I assure you. This is your house, fellow. It's my house. This is my house, mine, while I choose to stay. What right have you to bid me leave this house, sir? I never met with such impudence. Curse me! Never in my whole life before.
Now, I confound me if I did, to come to my house, to call for what he likes, to turn me out of my own chair, to insult my family, to order his servants to drink, and then to tell me, this house is mine, sir. Oh, by all that's impudent, it makes me laugh. Hearty, ha, ha. Pray, sir, as you take the house, what you think about taking the rest of the furniture, eh? Oh, there's a pair of silver candlesticks. Oh, and there's a fire screen. Oh, and here's a brazen-nosed bellows. Perhaps you may take a fancy to them, though, too.
Bring me your bill, sir. Bring me your bill, and let's make no more words about it.
There's a sets of prints here, too. What do you think of the rate's progress for your own apartment?
Bring me your bill, I say, and leave you and your infernal house directly.
Oh, and then there's the mahogany table that you can see your own face in it.
My bill, I say.
And I had forgot the great chair for your own particular slumbers after a hearty meal.
Zounds, bring me my bill, I say, and let's hear no more on it.
Young man, from your father's letter to me, I was taught to expect a well-bred, modest man as a visitor, but now I find him no better than a coxcomb, a bully, and he will be down here presently and shall hear more of it, sir.
How's this? Sure, I have not mistaken the house. Everything looks like an inn. The servants cry, coming. The attendance is awkward. The barmaid, too, to attend us, but she's here and will further inform me. Whither so fast, miss? A word with you.
Let it be short, then. I'm in a hurry. I believe he begins to find out his mistake, but it's too soon quite to undeceive him.
Pray, miss, answer me one question. What are you, and what may your business in this house be?
A relation of the family, sir.
What, a poor relation?
Yes, sir, a poor relation appointed to keep the keys and to see that the guests want nothing in my power to give them.
That is, you act as the barmaid of this inn.
Inn? Oh, Lord. What got into your head? One of the best families in the country keep an inn? House an inn? Oh.
Mr. Hardcastle's house. Is this Mr. Hardcastle's house, miss?
Aye, sure. Whose else should it be?
So then, all's out and I've been damnably imposed on. Oh, confound my stupid head. I shall be laughed at over the whole town. I shall be stuck up in a caricature in all the print shops. The Dolissimo Macaroni. To mistake this house of all others for an inn. My father's old friend for an innkeeper. What a swaggering puppy he must take me for. What a silly puppy I do take myself. There again, may I be hanged, my dear, but I mistook you for a barmaid.
Dear me, dear me. I'm sure there's nothing in my behavior to put me on a level with one of that stamp.
Oh, nothing, my dear, but I was in for a list of blunders and could not help making you but a subscriber. My stupidity saw everything the wrong way. I took your assiduity for assurance, your simplicity for allurement, but it's over. This house I no more show my face in.
I hope, sir, I've done nothing to disoblige you. I'm sure I should be sorry to affront any gentleman who's been so polite and said so many civil things to me. I'm sure I should be sorry if he left the family upon my account. I'm sure I should be sorry if people said anything amiss, since I have no fortune but my character.
By heavens, she weeps. This is the first mark of tenderness I ever had from a modest woman, and it touches me. Excuse me, my lovely girl. You are the only part of the family I leave with reluctance. But to be plain with you, the difference of our birth, fortune, and education makes an honorable connection impossible. I can never harbor a thought of seducing simplicity that trusted in my honor, of bringing ruin upon whose only fault was being too lovely.
Generous man. I now begin to admire him. But I'm sure my family is as good as Miss Hardcastle's, and though I'm poor, that's no great misfortune to a contented mind. And until this moment, I never thought that it was bad to want fortune.
And why now, my pretty simplicity?
Because it puts me at a distance from one that, if I had £1,000, I would give it all to.
This simplicity bewitches me, so that if I stay, I'm undone. I must make one bold effort and leave her. Your partiality in my favor, my dear, touches me most sensibly. Were I to live for myself alone, I could easily fix my choice. But I owe too much to the opinion of the world, too much to the authority of a father, so that I can scarcely speak of it. It affects me. Farewell.
I never knew half his merit till now. He shall not go if I have power or art to detain him. I'll still preserve the character in which I stooped to conquer, but will undeceive my papa, who perhaps may laugh him out of his resolution.
Aye, you may steal for yourselves the next time. I have done my duty. She has got the jewels again, that's a sure thing. But she believes it was all a mistake of the servants.
But, my dear cousin, sure you won't forsake us in this distress. If she in the least suspects that I am going off, I shall certainly be locked up or sent to my Aunt Pedigree's, which is 10 times worse.
Oh, to be sure, aunts of all kinds are damned bad things, but what can I do? I have got you a pair of horses that will fly like Whistlejacket, and I'm sure you can't say, but I have courted you nicely before her face. Oh, here she comes. We must court a bit or two more, for fear she should suspect us.
Well, I was greatly flattered, to be sure, but my son tells me it was all a mistake of the servants. I shan't be easy, however, till they are fairly married, and then let her keep her own fortune. But what do I see? Fondling together as I'm alive. I never saw Tony so sprightly before. Oh, have I caught you, my pretty doves? What billing, exchanging stolen glances and broken murmurs. Oh,
as for murmurs, mother, we grumble a little now and then, to be sure, but there's no love lost between us.
A mere sprinkling, Tony, upon the flame, only to make it burn brighter.
Cousin Tony promises to give us more of his company at home. Indeed, he shan't leave us any more. It won't leave us, Cousin Tony, will it?
Oh, it's a pretty creature. No, I'd sooner leave my horse in a pound than leave you when you smile upon one so. Your laugh makes you so becoming.
Agreeable, cousin. Oh, who can help admiring that natural humor, that pleasant, broad red, thoughtless, it's a bold face.
Pretty innocence.
I'm sure I've always loved Cousin Con's hazel eyes and her pretty long fingers that she twists this way and that over the haspicles like a parcel of bobbins.
Oh, he would charm the bird from the tree. I was never so happy before. My boy takes after his father, poor Mr. Lumpkin, exactly. The jewels, my dear Con, shall be yours incontinently. You shall have them. Isn't he a sweet boy, my dear? You shall be married tomorrow, and we'll put off the rest of his education like Dr. Drowsy's sermons to a fitter opportunity.
Where's the squire? Well, I've got a letter for you, Worship.
Oh, give it to my mamma. She reads all my letters first.
I had orders to deliver it into your own hands.
Who does it come from?
Your Worship Monas that owe the letter itself.
Well, I could wish to know, though.
Undone. Oh, it's a letter to him from Hastings. Oh, I know the hand. If my aunt sees it, we are ruined forever. I'll keep her employed a little if I can. But I have not told you, madam. I'm my cousin's smart answer just now to Mr. Marlowe. We not. You must know, madam. This way a little, for he must not hear us.
Oh, a damned cramped piece of penmanship as ever I saw in my life. I can read your print hand very well, but here are such handles and shanks and dashes that one can scarce tell the head from the tail. To Anthony Lumpkin, Esquire. Oh, it's very odd. I can read the outset of my letters, my own name is well enough. But when it comes to open it, it's all buzz. Oh, that's hard, very hard. For the inside of the letter is always the cream of the correspondence.
Oh, very well. And so my son was too hard for the philosopher.
Yes, madam, but you must hear the rest, madam. A little more this way, or he may hear us. You will hear how he puzzled him again.
He seems strangely puzzled now himself, methinks.
Oh, a damned up and down hand. It was disguised in liquor. Dear sir, why, that's that. Well, then there's an M and a T and an S. What the next be, an is-it or an R? Confound me, I cannot tell.
What's that, my dear? Can I give you any assistance?
Pray, aunt, let me read it. Nobody reads a cramp hand better than I. Do you know who it is from?
Well, can't tell, except from Dick Ginger the feeder.
Aye, so it is. Dear Squire, hoping that you're in health, as I am at this present, the gentleman of the Shake Bag Club has cut the gentleman of Goose Green quite out of feather. The odds on battle, long fighting, here, it's all about cooks and fighting. It's of no consequence. Put it up.
But I tell you, miss, it's of all the consequence in the world. I would not lose the rest of it for a guinea. Here, mother, do you make it out. Of no consequence.
Has this? Dear Squire, I'm now waiting for Miss Neville with a post-chaise and a pair at the bottom of the garden, but I find my horses yet unable to perform the journey. I expect you will assist us with a pair of fresh horses, as you promised. Dispatch is necessary as the hag, your mother, will otherwise suspect us. Yours, Hastings. Grant me patience, I shall run distracted, my rage chokes me.
I hope, madam, you'll suspend your resentment for a few moments and not impute to me any impertinence or sinister design that belongs to another.
Fine spoken, madam. You are most miraculously polite and engaging and quite the very pink of courtesy and circumspection, madam. And you great ill-fashioned oaf with scarce sense enough to keep your mouth shut. Were you too joined against me? Oh, but I'll defeat all your plots in a moment. As for you, madam, since you have got a pair of fresh horses ready, it would be cruel to disappoint them. So, if you please, instead of running away with your spark, prepare this very moment to run off with me. Your old Aunt Pedigree will keep you secure, I'll warrant me. You too, sir, may mount your horse and guard us upon the way. Here, Thomas, Roger, Diggory, I'll show you that I wish you better than you do yourselves.
So, now I am completely ruined.
Aye, that's a sure thing.
What better could be expected from being connected with such a stupid fool? And after all the nods and signs I made him...
Oh, by the laws, miss, it was your own cleverness and not my stupidity that did your business. You were so nice and busy with your shake bags and goose screens that I thought you could never be making believe.
So, sir, I find by my servant that you have shown my letter and betrayed us. Was this well done, young gentleman?
Oh, here's another. Ask Miss Clare who betrayed you. Accord, it was her doing, not mine.
So I have been finely used here among you, rendered contemptible, driven into ill manners, despised, insulted, laughed at.
Oh, here's another. We shall have old Bedlam broke loose presently.
And there, sir, is the gentleman to whom we owe every obligation.
What can I say to him? A mere boy, an idiot, whose ignorance and age are a protection?
A poor, contemptible booby who would but disgrace correction.
Yet with cunning and malice enough to make himself merry with all our embarrassments.
An insensible cub.
Replete with tricks and mischief.
Bah! Damn, but I'll fight you both, one after the other. With baskets.
As for him, he's below resentment. But your conduct, Mr. Hastings, requires an explanation. You knew of my mistakes, yet you would not undeceive me.
Tortured as I am with my own disappointments, is this the time for explanations? It is not friendly, Mr. Marlowe.
But, sir, I have made a complete fool of myself.
Mr. Marlowe, we never kept on your mistake till it was too late to undeceive you.
My mistress desires you'll get ready immediately, madam. Horses are put into, your hat and things are in the next room. You are to go 30 miles before morning.
Well, I'll come presently.
Was it well done, George, to assist in rendering me ridiculous, to hang me out for the scorn of all my acquaintance? Depend upon it, sir, I shall expect an explanation.
Was it well done, sir, if you're upon that subject, to deliver what I entrusted to yourself into the hands of another, sir?
Mr. Hastings, Mr. Marlowe, why will you increase my distress with this groundless dispute? I implore you, I entreat you.
Look, madam, my mistress is impatient.
I come. Pray, be pacified. If I leave you thus, I shall die with apprehension.
Your fan, muff, and gloves, madam. The horses are waiting.
Oh, Mr. Marlowe, if you knew what a scene of constraint and ill nature lies before me, I'm sure it would convert your resentment into pity.
I'm so distracted with a variety of passions that I do not know what I do. Forgive me, madam. George? Forgive me. You know my hasty temper and should not exasperate it.
The torture of my situation is my only excuse.
Well, my dear Hastings, if you have that esteem for me that I think, that I'm sure you have, your constancy will, for 3 years, will but increase the happiness of our future connection. If
Miss Neville! Constance! Why? Constance, I say!
I'm coming! Well, constancy, remember? Constancy is the word.
My heart. How can I support this? To be near such happiness.
You see now, young gentleman, the effects of your folly. What might be amusement to you is here disappointment and even distress.
Accord, I have hit it. It's here. Your hands. Yours and yours, my poor sulky. My boots there. Ho! Maybe 2 hours hence the bottom of the garden. And if you don't find Tony Lumpkin a more good-natured fellow than you thought for, I'll give you leave to take my best horse and vet bouncer into the bargain. Come along. My boots. Ho!
Act the 5th. Some hours later.
You saw the old lady and Miss Neville drive off, you say?
Yes, Your Honor. They went off in a post coach, and the young squire went on horseback. Well, they're 30 miles off by this time.
Then all my hopes are over.
Yes, sir. Old Sir Charles has arrived. He and the old gentleman of the house have been laughing at Mr. Marlowe's mistake this half hour. They're coming this way.
Oh, well, then I must not be seen. So now to my fruitless appointment at the bottom of the garden. This is about the time.
The peremptory tone in which he sent forth his sublime commands.
And the reserve, which I suppose he treated all your advances.
And yet he might have seen something in me above a common innkeeper, too.
Yes, Dick, he mistook you for an uncommon innkeeper.
Well, I'm in too good spirits to think of anything but joy. Yes, my dear friend, the union of our families will make our personal friendships hereditary. And though my daughter's fortune is but small...
Why, Dick, you talk of fortune to me. My son is possessed of more competence already, and can want nothing but a good and virtuous girl to share his happiness and increase it. If they like each other, as you say they do.
If, man, I tell you they do like each other. My daughter as good as told me so.
But girls are apt to flatter themselves, you know.
I saw him grasp her hand in the warmest manner myself. And here he comes to put you out of your ifs. I want him.
I come, sir, once more, to ask pardon for my strange conduct. I can scarce reflect on my insolence without confusion.
Tut, tut, boy, a trifle. You take it too gravely. An hour or two's laughing with my daughter will set you all right again. She'll never like you the worse for it.
Sir, I shall always be proud of her approbation.
Oh, approbation is but a cold word, Mr. Marlowe. If I am not deceived, you have something more than approbation thereabouts. You take me.
Really, sir, I have not had that happiness.
Come, boy. I'm an old fella and know what's what as well as you, the younger. I know what has passed between you, but, Mom.
Sure, sir. Nothing has passed between us but the most profound respect on my side and the most distant reserve on hers. You don't think, sir, that my impudence has been passed upon all the rest of the family?
Impudence? No, I don't say that. Not quite impudence, though girls like to be played with and rumpled up a little bit sometimes. But she has told you no tales, I assure you.
I never gave her the slightest cause.
Well, I like modesty in its place well enough, but this is overacting, young gentleman. You may be open. Your father and I will like you all the better for it.
May I die, sir, if I ever...
I tell you,
to think that
he don't dislike you. And as I'm sure you like her, then all...
Dear sir, I protest, sir. I gave her no reason to
no reason why you should not be joined as fast as the parson can tie you.
But hear me, sir. What
Your
I'm trying to tell
father
you
approves
is that...
of the match. I admire it. Every moment's delay will be doing mischief. So please, young gentlemen.
But why won't you hear me, good sir? By all that's just and true, I never gave Miss Hardcastle the slightest mark of my attachment, or even the most distant hint to suspect me of affection. We had but one interview, and that was formal, modest, and uninteresting.
This fellow's former modest impudence is beyond bearing.
And you never grasped her hand or made any protestations?
As heaven is my witness, I came down in obedience to your commands. I saw the lady without emotion, and I parted without reluctance. I hope you'll extract no farther proofs of my duty, nor prevent me from leaving a house in which I suffer so many mortifications.
I'm astonished at the air of sincerity with which she departed.
And I'm astonished at the deliberate intrepidity of his assurance.
I dare pledge my life and honor upon this truth.
Well, here comes my daughter. I will stake my happiness upon her veracity. Kate, come hither, young child. Answer us sincerely and without reserve. has Mr. Marlowe made any professions of love and affection?
Oh, the question is very abrupt, sir, but since you require unreserved sincerity, I think he has.
You see?
But did he profess any attachment?
Yes, sir, several.
You see?
But did he profess any attachment?
Oh, yes, a lasting one.
Did he talk of love?
Much, sir.
Amazing. And all this formally?
Formally.
Now, my friend, I hope you are satisfied.
And how did he behave, madam?
As most professed admirers do, said some civil things of my face, talked much of his want of merit and the greatness of mine, mentioned his heart, gave a short tragedy speech, and ended with pretended rapture.
Now I'm perfectly convinced, indeed. I know his conversation among women to be modest and submissive. This forward, canting, ranting manner by no means describe him, and I'm confident he never sat for the picture.
Then what, sir, if I should convince you to your face of my sincerity? If you and my papa in about half an hour will place yourselves behind that screen, you shall hear him declare his passion to me in person.
Agreed. And if I find in what you describe, all my happiness in him must have an end.
And if you don't find in him what I describe, I fear my happiness must never have a beginning.
Oh.
Meanwhile, in the back of the garden.
What an idiot I am, to wait here for a fellow who takes delight in mortifying me. He never intended to be punctual. Now wait no longer. What do I see? It is he, and perhaps with news of my Constance. Oh, my honest squire, I now find you a man of your word. This looks like friendship.
Aye, I'm your friend, and the best friend you have in the world, if you knew it all. This riding by night, by the by, is cursedly tiresome. Oh, it has shook me worse than the basket of a stagecoach.
But how? Where did you leave your fellow travelers? Are they in safety? Are they housed?
Oh, 25 miles in 2 hours and a half is no such bad driving. The poor beast have smoked for it. Rabbit me, but I'd rather ride 40 miles after a fox than 10 such varmint.
Well, but where have you left the ladies? I die with impatience.
Left them? Why, where should I leave them when I found them?
This is a riddle.
Riddle me this, then. What's that goes round the house and never touches the house?
I'm still astray.
Why, that's it, man. I've led them astray. By jingo, there's not a pond or a slough within 5 miles of the place where they can tell the taste of.
I understand. You took them round where they supposed themselves going forward, and so you have at last brought them home again.
You shall hear. I first took them down Featherbed Lane, where we stuck fast in the mud. I then rattled them crack over the stones of Up and Down Hill. I then introduced them to the gibbet on Heavy Tree Heath, and from that, with the circumbenders, I fairly lodged them in the horse pond at the bottom of the garden.
But no accident, I hope.
No. Only Mother is confoundedly frightened. She thinks herself 40 miles off. Oh, she's sick of the journey, and the cattle can scarce crawl. So if your own horses be ready, you may whip off with cousin, and I'll be bound that no soul here can budge but to follow you.
My dear friend, how can I be grateful?
Oh, aye, now it's dear friend, noble squire. Just now it was all idiot, cub, and run me through the guts. Damn your way of fighting, I say. After we take a knock in this part of the country, we kiss and be friends. But if you'd run me through the guts, well, then I should be dead. And you might go kiss the hangman.
The rebuke is just, but I must hasten to relieve Miss Neville. If you'll keep the old lady employed, I'll promise to take care of the young one.
No, never fear me. Well, here she comes, Spanish. Here she's got from the pond and draggled up to the waist like a mermaid.
Oh, Tony, I'm killed. Battered to death. I shall never survive it. That last jolt laid us against the quickset hedge has done my business.
Alack, Mamma. It was all your own fault. You would be for running away by night without knowing 1 inch of the way.
I wish we were at home again. I never met so many accidents in so short a journey. Drenched in the mud, overturned in a ditch, stuck fast in a slough, jolted to a jelly, and at last lose our way. Whereabouts do you think we are, Tony?
By my guess, we should come upon Crackskull Common, about 40 miles from home.
Oh, Lord, oh, Lord. The most notorious spot in all the country. They only want a robbery to make a complete night on it.
Don't be afraid, Mamma, don't be afraid. 2 of the 5 that kept you are hanged. And the other 3 may not find us. Don't be afraid. Oh, is that a man that's galloping behind us? No, it's only a tree. Don't be afraid.
The fright will certainly kill me.
Do you see anything like a black hat moving behind the thicket?
Oh, dear.
Oh, no, it's only a cow. Don't be afraid, Mamma, don't be afraid.
As I'm alive, Tony, I see a man coming towards us. Oh, I'm sure on it. If he perceives us, we are undone.
Father-in-law, all that's unlucky, come to take one of his night walks. Yeah, it's a highwayman with pistols as long as my arm. A damned ill-looking fellow.
Good heaven, defend us! He approaches.
Do you hide yourself in that thicket and leave me to manage him. If there be any danger, I'll cough and cry hen. When I cough, be sure to keep close.
I'm mistaken, or I heard voices of people of wanton help. Tony, is that you? I did not expect you so soon back. Are your mother and her charges in safety?
Very safe, sir, at my Aunt Pedigree's. Damn.
Oh, dear, I find there's danger.
40 miles in 3 hours? Sure, that's too much, my youngster.
Stout horses and willing minds make short journeys, as they say. Damn.
Oh, sure, you do the dear boy no harm.
But I heard a voice here. I should be glad to know from whence it came.
It was I, sir, talking to myself, sir. I was saying that 40 miles in 4 hours is very good going. As I'm sure it was. I have got that sort of cold by being out in the air. We'll go in, if you please.
But if you talk to yourself, you did not answer yourself, and I'm certain I heard 2 voices, and I am resolved to find the other one out.
Oh, he's coming to find me out. Oh.
What need you go, sir, if I tell you? I'll lay down my life for the truth. I'll tell you all, sir.
I tell you I will not be detained. I insist on seeing. It's in vain to expect that I believe you.
Oh, Lord, he'll murder my poor boy, my darling. Here, good gentlemen, whet your rage upon me. Take my money, my life, but spare that young gentleman. Spare my child, if you have any mercy.
My wife? As I'm a Christian, from whence can she come? What does she mean?
Take compassion on us, good Mr. Highwayman. Take our money, our watches, all that we have, but spare our lives. We will never bring you to justice. Indeed, we won't, good Mr. Highwayman.
I believe that woman is out of her senses. What? Dorothy, don't you know me?
Mr. Hardcastle, as I'm alive. My fears blinded me, but who, my dear, could have expected to meet you here in this frightful place so far from home? What has brought you to follow us?
Sure, Dorothy, you have not lost your wits. So far from home when you're just a mere 40 yards from your own door. This is one of your tricks, you graceless rogue, you. Don't you know your own gate and the mulberry tree? Don't you remember the horse pond, my dear?
Yes, I shall remember the horse pond as long as I live. I have caught my death in it. And it is to you, you graceless varlet, I owe all this. I'll teach you to abuse your mother, I will.
Cod, mother. All the parish says you've spoiled me. And so you may take the fruits on it.
I'll spoil you, I will.
There's morality, however, in his reply.
My dear Constance, why will you deliberate thus? If we delay a moment, all is lost forever. Pluck up a little resolution, and we shall soon be out of the reach of her malignity.
I find it impossible. My spirits are so sunk with the agitations I have suffered that I am unable to face any new danger. 2 or 3 years' patience will at last crown us with happiness.
Such a tedious delay is worse than inconsistency. Let us fly, my charmer. Let us date our happiness from this very moment. Perish fortune. Love and content will increase what we possess beyond a monarch's revenue. Let me prevail.
No, Mr. Hastings, no. Prudence once more comes to my relief, and I will obey its dictates. Not passion, fortune may be despised, but it ever produces a lasting repentance. I'm resolved to apply to Mr. Hardcastle's compassion and justice for redress.
But though he had the will, he has not the power to relieve you.
But he has influence, and upon that I am resolved to rely.
I have no hopes, but since you persist, I must reluctantly obey.
And now, let us return to the household for the exciting climax.
What a situation am I in? If what you say appears, I shall then find a guilty son. But what if he says be true? I shall then lose that one above all others I most wished for a daughter.
I am proud of your approbation, and to show I merit it, if you place yourselves as I directed, you shall hear his explicit declaration. Oh, but he comes.
To your father, and keep him to the appointment.
Though prepared for setting out, I come once more to take leave. Nor did I, till this moment, know the pain I feel in the separation.
I believe sufferings cannot be very great, sir, which you can so easily remove. A day or 2 longer, perhaps, might lessen your uneasiness by showing the little value of what you now think improper to regret.
This girl every moment improves upon me. It must not be, madam. I have already trifled too long with my heart. My very pride begins to submit to my passion. The disparity of education and fortune, the anger of a parent, and the contempt of my equals begin to lose their weight. Nothing can restore me to myself but this painful effort of resolution.
Then go, sir. I'll urge nothing more to detain you. Though my family be as good as hers you came down to visit, and my education, I hope, not inferior, what are these advantages without equal affluence? I must remain contented with the slight approbation of imputed merit. I must have only the mockery of your addresses, while all your serious aims are fixed on fortune.
Here, behind this screen.
Aye, but make no noise. I'll engage my Kate covers him with confusion at last.
By heavens, madam, fortune was ever my smallest consideration. Your beauty at first caught my eye, for who could see that without emotion? But every moment that I converse with you steals in some new grace, heightens the picture, and gives it stronger expression. Where at first seemed rustic plainness, now appears refined simplicity. What seemed forward assurance now strikes me as the result of courageous innocence and conscious virtue.
What could it mean? He amazes me.
I told you how it would be. Now hush.
I am now determined to stay, madam, and I have too good an opinion of my father's discernment when he sees you to doubt his approbation.
No, Mr. Marlowe, I cannot detain you. Do you think I could suffer a connection in which there is the smallest room for repentance? Do you think I would take the mean advantage of a transient passion to load you with confusion? Do you think I could ever relish that happiness which was acquired by lessening yours?
By all that's good, I can have no happiness but what's in your power to grant me. Nor shall I ever feel repentance, but in not having seen your merits before. I will stay, even contrary to your wishes, and though you should persist to shun me, I will make my respectful assiduities atone for the levity of my past conduct.
Sir, I must entreat you'll desist. As our acquaintance began, so let it end in indifference. I might have given an hour or two to levity, but seriously, Mr. Marlowe, do you think I could ever submit to a connection where I must appear mercenary and you imprudent? Do you think I could ever catch at the confident addresses of a secure admirer?
Does this look like security? Does this look like confidence? No, madam. Every moment that shows me your merit only serves to increase my diffidence and confusion. Here, let me continue.
I can hold it no longer.
First,
Charles, how hast thou deceived me? Is this your indifference, your uninteresting conversation?
Your cold contempt, your formal interview. What have you say now?
That I'm all amazement. What can it mean?
It means that you can say and unsay things at pleasure, that you can address a lady in private and then deny it in public, that you have one story for us, then another one for my daughter.
Daughter? This lady is your daughter?
Yes, sir. My one and only daughter, my Kate. Who else should she be?
Oh, the devil!
What?
Yes, sir, that very identical, tall, squinting lady you were pleased to take me for. She that you addressed as the mild, modest, sentimental man of gravity and the bold, forward, agreeable rattle of the ladies' club.
Zounds, there's no bearing this. It's worse than death.
In which of your characters, sir, will you give us leave to address you? As the faltering gentleman with looks on the ground that speaks up just to be heard and hates hypocrisy? Or the loud, confident creature that keeps it up with Mrs. Mantrap and old Miss Biddy Buckskin till 3 in the morning?
Oh, curse my noisy head. I never attempted to be impudent, yet that I was not taken down, I must be gone.
Oh, by the hand of my body, you shall not. I see it now. It was all a mistake, and I'm rejoiced to find it. You shall not, sir, I tell you. I know she'll forgive you. Oh, won't you forgive him, Kate? Oh, we all forgive you. Take courage, man.
So they're gone off. Let them go. I care not.
Who gone?
My dutiful niece and her gentleman, Mr. Hastings, from town. He who came down with our modest visitor here.
Who? My honest George Hastings, as worthy as the fellow as lives, and the girl could not have made a more prudent choice.
Ah, then by the hand of my body, I am proud of that connection.
Well, if he has taken away the lady, he has not taken her fortune. That remains in this family to console us for her loss.
Sure, Dorothy, you would not be so mercenary.
Aye, that's my affair, not yours.
But you know, if your son, when of age, refuses to marry his cousin, her whole fortune is then at her own disposal.
Aye, but he's not of age, and she has not thought proper to wait for his refusal. What? Returned so soon? I begin not to like it.
For my late attempt to fly off with your niece, let my present confusion be my punishment. We are now come back and to appeal to your justice and to your humanity. By her father's consent, I first paid her my addresses, and our passions were first founded in duty.
Since his death, I have been obliged to stoop to dissimulation to avoid oppression. In an hour of levity, I was ready to give up my fortune to secure my choice. I am now recovered from the delusion, and hope from your tenderness what is denied me from a nearer connexion.
Pshaw. This is all but the whining end of a modern novel.
Be what its will. I am glad they've come back to reclaim their due. Come here, Tony boy. Do you refuse this lady's hand who I now offer you?
What signifies my refusing? You know I can't refuse her till I'm of age, father.
While I thought concealing your edge, boy, was likely conduce to your improvement, I concurred with your mother's desire to keep it secret. But now that I find that she turns it to a wrong use, I must now declare that you have been of age these 3 months.
Of age? Am I of age, Father?
Above 3 months.
Oh, then you'll see the first use I'll make of my liberty. Witness all men by these presents that I, Anthony Lumpkin, Esquire of blank place, refuse you, Constantia Neville, spinster of no place at all, for my true and lawful wife. So Constance Neville may marry whom she pleases, and Tony Lumpkin is his own man again.
Oh, brave squire.
My worthy friend.
My dutiful offspring.
Joy, my dear George. I give you joy sincerely. And could I prevail upon my little tyrant here to be a little less arbitrary, I should be the happiest man alive. If you would return me the favor.
Come, madam. You are now driven to the very last scene of all your contrivances. I know you like him. I'm sure he loves you, and you must and shall have him.
And I say, too, I'm Mr. Marlowe. If she makes as good a wife as she has a daughter, I don't believe you will ever repent your bargain. So now to supper. Tomorrow, the mistakes of tonight shall be crowned with a merry morning. So, boy, take her. And as you have been mistaken in the mistress, my wish is that you never be mistaken in the wife.
End of play. Thank you all very much for joining us tonight. I am Ben Stahl. I directed the show. I played one of the pub fellows and Jeremy, the real hero of the story. Also in this cast tonight, Nicole Lockett as the maid and pub fellow, Nigel Kelley as Diggory and other pub fellow, Curtis Beech as Sir Charles Marlowe, the landlord, and Roger, Noah Goucher as Tony Lumpkin, Dana Galagan as Mrs. Hardcastle, Kerry Bringman as Mr. Hardcastle and another pub fellow, Ton Williams as George Hastings, Andreya Pro as Constance Neville, Chap Wolff as young Charles Marlowe, and Christine Choate as Kate Hardcastle. Running the show for us tonight in the booth is Nikolai Roycroft. Thank you very much, Nikolai. And I would also like to thank James Venturini and Heather Hines at the Lakewood Playhouse for inviting me to direct this show and allowing us to have a little bit of fun. We are very, very, very much looking forward at some point to getting back into the Playhouse and other theaters all around the area and doing this in front of you live, because let me tell you, there's nothing quite as good as doing a show with a live audience. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope we get to see you sometime soon. Please keep supporting local theater. Have a good night, everyone.